بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه ومن والاه. ثم أما بعد to proceed. Inshallah, today we will talk about obsessions. Is any one of you obsessive to some extent? Well, perfectionism and obsession are sort of sometimes tied together. There is a very fine line between perfectionism and obsession. Perfectionism is to a certain extent required of every Muslim. إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. Prophet ﷺ said, Allah likes of one of you when he performs an act that he perfects it. When he performs an act, he perfects it. إن الله يحب إذا عمل أحدكم عملا أن يتقنه. But again, because Islam combines between idealism and realism in a fine balance, Islam did not allow us to take that perfectionism to a level that will be impeding, hindering, debilitating, because perfectionism can come back and haunt you, can be counterproductive, and can actually debilitate you. And when perfectionism becomes debilitating, that is obsessive, and some people have obsessive compulsive disorder, OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. The people who have obsessive compulsive disorder are the people who, when you were in elementary school, for instance, and you would, write the answer on the answer sheet like 200 times and erase it and rewrite it and erase it and rewrite it and erase it and rewrite it because it's not coming out perfect. And it doesn't have to be 200 times, could be like 4, 5, 6 times. More than expected, more than usual, more than average. There is a spectrum of normal, usually not only in physique, but also in behavior. There is a spectrum of normal. Outside of that spectrum of normal, things become abnormal. And when things become abnormal, they become harmful. So it is not only the direction, but it is also the magnitude. Because you could be moving in the right direction, but you could have exceeded the point of moderation. Because moderation, you see, in Islam, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا لِتَكُونُوا شُهَدَاءَ عَلَى النَّاسِ. Thus have we made you a nation of moderation, a moderate nation, أُمَّةً وَسَطًا. The beauty of this moderation is important in everything, even in worship. You see, the Prophet ﷺ, who came to make us surrender to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to make us, recognize Allah and surrender to Him and worship Him, make us recognize the purpose of our lives to be worship. He came with a declaration from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ مَا أُرِيدُ مِنْهُمْ مِنْ رِزْقٍ وَمَا أُرِيدُ أَنْ يُطْعِمُونِ. I have not created the jinn and the ins but to worship me. He came with this declaration, yet he is the one who says to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, he is the one who says to Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, do not recite the Quran in one day. Recite it in 3 days. He is the one who says, فَقُمْ فَصَلِّ وَنَمْ وَصُمْ وَأَفْطِرْ. فَصَلِّ وَنَمْ وَصُمْ وَأَفْطِرْ. Wake up to pray and sleep. Fast and break your fast. فَصَلِّ وَنَمْ وَقُمْ فَصَلِّ وَنَمْ وَصُمْ وَأَفْطِرْ. So this is... So you could say to yourself, well, if I can read the whole Quran in half a day, that's even better. So, but bigger is not always better. And if some is good, more is not necessarily better, right? That's what Islam teaches us. Because once you have exceeded the point of moderation, you will start to compromise some other area. This hadith that we talked about, this hadith that we talked about, فَصَلِّ وَنَمْ وصم وأفطر. The statement before this, the phrase before this, وإن لنفسك عليك حقا ولأهلك عليك حقا فصل ونم وصم وأفطر. So yourself or yourself has rights over you, and your family has rights over you. Therefore, pray and sleep and fast some days and don't fast others. Break your fast on other days. فصلي ونم وصم فصلي ونم وصم وأفطر. So that's the balance that Islam came to Islam brought. So the issue of perfectionism versus obsessions, like I said, there is a point of moderation that should not be exceeded, even if you're walking in the right direction. So you're not slacking off, you're actually getting better, you're getting more precise. But how precise could a human being be? You know, could you function like a rocket? No, you can't. So you have to tell yourself, well, I'm a human being. I have inherent deficiency inside me. So I do my best, as long as the pursuit of perfection will not actually be counterproductive and come back and incapacitate you or impede you or hinder you, stop you. So, how did Islam fix the issue of obsessions? Or how did Islam address the issue of obsessions? We understand that perfectionism is good. We understand that there is a point of moderation after which it becomes a little bit too much. But how did Islam address the issue of obsessions? You know, you find this all over the Sharia. All over the Sharia. Sharia tries to counter obsessions from the beginning to the end. Examples. Take, for example, the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ that's reported by Sunan from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, إِنَّ الْمَاءَ طَهُورٌ لَا يُنَجِّسُهُ شَيْءٌ. Most certainly water is pure and nothing will render it impure. Does this actually have, does this tell you something about obsessions? It does. It tells you water by default is pure and nothing will render it impure. So don't be obsessive about the purity of the water. That's the first thing in fiqh. The first thing is you want to purify yourself to make prayers. And you want to purify yourself by using water. So the Prophet ﷺ is saying you, water by default is pure. Keep that in mind. So don't obsess about the purity or impurity of water. The second hadith, which is from Abdullah ibn Umar, is also reported as Sunan from Abdullah ibn Umar. The Prophet ﷺ said, إِذَا بَلَغَ الْمَاءُ قُلَّتَيْنِ لَمْ يَحْمِلِ الْخَبَثِ. When the water reaches 2 large containers, it will not be rendered impure. It will not carry impurity or it will not be rendered impure. What does that mean? We said that before. Yeah. So the Prophet ﷺ is telling us here that the default for water is it is pure. That's the default for water. But again, don't even examine the water if you are in front of the ocean, sea, big lake. You know, so large water bodies, rivers, large water bodies. If you're in front of a large water body, don't examine the water, because to come by the side of the river and to start to smell and taste the water, you can imagine if you reach that level of carefulness, caution, that is actually obsessive. Now you can say, you know, this is a good man, this is a righteous man. He could be a righteous man, by the way. We're not saying that he's not a righteous man. In fact, what made him do this is that he is a righteous man. So he wants to really make sure that the water is clean because he wants to make sure that the salah is perfect. In fact, most of the obsessions that come to Muslims, it comes to Muslims in their prayers and their wudu, their purity. Because they want to perfect, they know the importance of salah. They want to perfect the purification. So we're not saying that this is a bad man, but we're saying that the shaitan is wicked. I don't want to, give him credit. I don't want to give him credit and say smart. But, the shaitan knows that this man has already ran away from me. So I tried, how am I going to get this man now? I tried to get him into enormities. Too tough. Minor sins. Too tough for the shaitan. I tried to get him to abandon some of the good acts, mustahab acts. Too tough for the shaitan. I tried to keep him busy with the dunya. Too tough for the shaitan. I try to make him favor things that are low priority over things that are high priority. Too tough for the shaitan. The shaitan lost every, step of the battle. Lost. But does he give up? Well, he never gives up. And the righteous person is the one who truly understands that the shaitan will never give up on him. So he is always vigilant. I found out that the word vigilant is the best word for muttaqi. I've been thinking about this for the past 20 years. Vigilant versus pious. From now on, I'll use vigilant. Because if you really look into the meaning of taqwa means fear. Ubay ibn Ka'b explained taqwa to Umar radiallahu anhu, when Umar asked Ubay ibn Ka'b what's taqwa. He said, have you seen a land that's full of thorns? He said, yes. What would you have done in a land like this? He said, I pull up my garments and I walk carefully and I look underneath my feet. And he said to him, that's taqwa. Right? So that's how the Sahaba understood it. And literally, it means fear or avoidance. To try to avoid. To try to avoid. So if that is what it is, then I think the word vigilant for muttaqi and vigilance for taqwa is a good word, the closest word. So vigilance. So now the shaitan, so now this person who is very muttaqi, vigilant, the shaitan is not able to sort of get him into any of those traps, will not give up on him, and he understands this. But, so I think that this is one of the last nets that the shaitan will throw on him to try to get him, which is obsessiveness, or having obsessions. Get him to obsess about things. And why is it, what's the problem in obsession? If we're saying, that it's a sign of Iman, it's a good thing, mashallah. He's making sure that the water is clean because he wants to make sure that his salah is accepted. Because the shaitan, does know human weakness. You can't handle this for too long. It will overwhelm you. And if it doesn't, it may not overwhelm you to the extent of making you, disbelieve. And it will likely not overwhelm you to the extent of making you wicked and commit enormities, but it will incapacitate you as a Muslim working for good and for, the betterment of the human condition, bringing, the human condition more in conformity and harmony with the divine will, with the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So if that is your work, then he can actually, impede you, even if he does not make you disbelieve, if he does not make you wicked, but he can actually get you to a point where you're tired, you're overwhelmed. I have seen some of the mashayikh who made wudu 16 times before they embarked on the salah. And if you do this, you can imagine that, 3 or 4, if you do this before each prayer, you can imagine that the person will be consumed in this. Consumed. This is a Sheikh that could be actually teaching ilm, and could be actually spreading khayr, and could be actually, giving da'wah, and could be writing books, and could be doing lots of good things that would bring about a lot of benefit. But then if he's, going back and forth, because every time he's not sure about his wudu, then that's quite a tragedy. So that's why the Prophet ﷺ was very keen, in every step of the way, beginning from the water itself. Do not obsess about water. That's the first thing. Do not obsess also about the physical purity around you. Do not obsess about the physical purity. And simplicity of purification. The hadith of Bukhari, when Anas ibn Malik said that a Bedouin came into the masjid and urinated in one side or one corner of the masjid. And what did the Prophet ﷺ say? Pour a bucket full of water on his urine. That's it. Done. So now we're not going to have to sort of, get all of that soil, carve it out of the ground of the masjid and throw it away somewhere and bury it and burn it. And no, just pour water, and this is soil. The masjid is made out of soil. The ground is made out of soil. So when you pour water, it takes the najasa downwards, So simplicity in purification, that's something that Prophet ﷺ taught us. Now, if you look at what the Prophet ﷺ taught us as well with regard to the purification, and whether you sort of compromise your wudu or you invalidate your wudu, he says, إذا وجد أحدكم شيئا في بطنه فلا ينصرف من صلاته حتى يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا. When one of you finds something in his abdomen, something in his stomach, let him not leave his salah until he hears a sound or smells an odor. Basically, the person is, the shaitan comes to the person and tells him, did you pass in? You didn't pass it. So he can actually, even if he did not leave the salah, but if he does not, get himself away from this, so shaitan will keep him busy with this issue for the rest of his salah when he was actually supposed to have munajah. Do you know munajah? Munajah is the tender, soft conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's munajah, tender and soft conversation with Allah. And the salah is meant to be munajah. If we truly understand, when we start our salah, have this feeling, that this is munajah now, this is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says that He divided the salah, which is Fatiha, قسمت الصلاة بين عبدي نصفين. Anyway, salah is munajah. Salah is a tender and soft conversation with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So, instead of being busy with this, the shaitan keeps you busy. Did I, break my wudu? Did I not break my wudu? So the Prophet ﷺ, in order for him to treat you from this, a preventative measure, to stop this completely, he says, إذا وجد أحدكم شيئا في بطنه فلا ينصرف من صلاته حتى يسمع صوتا أو يجد ريحا. When one of you finds something in his stomach, let him not leave his salah until he hears a sound or smells an odor. So don't obsess about this. Uthman ibn Abi al-As is reported by Bukhari and Muslim, or as reported by Muslim. Bukhari has a variant of this also. But Uthman ibn Abi al-As came to the Prophet ﷺ and said to him, Ya Rasulullah, إن الشيطان قد حال بيني وبين صلاتي وقراءتي يلبسها علي. قال ذاك شيطان يقال له خنزر. فإذا أتاك فاستعذ بالله فادخل عن يسارك ثلاثا واستعذ بالله منه. So Uthman ibn Abi al-As came to the Prophet ﷺ and said to him, O Messenger of Allah, Shaitan had prevented me from concentrating on my prayers. حال بيني وبين صلاتي. He became a hindrance between me and my salah وقراءتي, my recitation in the salah. يلبسها علي. He confuses me inside the salah. Confuses me inside the salah. He keeps on confusing him about the number of rak'ahs. He keeps on confusing him about the ayat and the sequence of the ayat. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, that is a shaitan that's called khanzir. And someone can ask, why does the shaitan have a name? Why do we have to know the name of the shaitan? Don't you understand the concept of tangibility? That concept is a very valid concept. If you understand anything about human psychology, you will understand that tangibility is important. Personification, embodiment, tangibility, all of this is important. That's why McDonald's is McDonald's. You know, you see that thing and that's it. Those are 2 French fries, by the way. You know? The M, you don't know? The M is 2 French fries. That's aside from the topic of today. But that's an added benefit, that's fine. For free. You know, Shell gas station, you see that? It's tangibility. It is connecting the whole thing with a picture in your mind, with a name, with a picture. Something tangible. Okay. So the Prophet said to him, that's what shaitan is called khanzir. And if he comes to you, then okay, yatful, it's like blowing or spitting or somewhere in the middle. It's somewhere in the middle between blowing and spitting. It's like, so actually nothing's coming out, but you're not blowing. You look like you're spitting, but you're blowing. And then you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. And then you say, A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. So the issue here of the you know, the shaitan making you think that you broke your wudu, making you think that you messed up your salah, the order, and so on. The Prophet ﷺ always comes, you know, to you with like a treatment, medicine, an effective medicine. If you really take heed, if you really understand this, these are effective medications. Take, for instance, the issue of the number of rak'ahs. You know, that you sometimes wonder, did I pray, how many rak'ahs did I pray? There are 2 hadith. One of them is from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri and one of them is from Abdullah bin Mas'ud. The one that is reported from Abi Sa'id al-Khudri is to base it on certainty. إذا شك أحدكم في صلاته أصلى 3 أم 4 فليطرح الشك وليبني على ما استيقن. When one of you doubts the number of rak'ahs he prayed, let him cast away the doubt and base his salah on certainty. That means what? 3 or 4? 3, not 4. 3, not 4. Okay. But the hadith of Abdullah bin Mas'ud is reported by Muslim. The Prophet ﷺ said, وَإِذَا شَكَّ أَحَدُكُمْ فِي صَلَاتِهِ فَلْيَتَحَرَّ الصَّوَابَ ثُمَّ لْيَسْجُدْ سَجْدَتَيْنِ بعد التسليم. If one of you doubted the number of rak'ahs he prayed or doubted something in his salah, let him try to figure it out. Let him verify. Let him try to sort it out. And then he can make 2 sajdas, sujood al-sahw, sujood al-forgetfulness. Okay, you see, the scholars, they have those 2 hadiths now. What does it mean to sort it out? Sort it out, try to see what is more likely. And if it is 4, go by 4, not 3. The other hadith said, cast the doubt away and base his action on certainty. How do you reconcile between the 2 hadiths? There is a very beautiful way of reconciliation that is perfect. And there are various ways of reconciliation, by the way. And all of those ways of reconciliation, there are more than one. There's a lot more than one. But those ways of reconciliation that I'll mention now, they're all effective treatments of obsessions. Okay, one of them is واجهة عند الحنابلة. One of them is a variant report from the Hanbalis, chosen by Ibn Taymiyyah. And that is the one that I believe to be the strongest, which is they divided shak, uncertainty itself, into two types. To say that shak with two equal ends and shak with one probable side. Shak with two equal ends is when you can't really figure it out. You know, if you sit here until tomorrow morning, you're not going to be able to figure it out. It's 50-50. That's it. Midline. So that is a shak that is. So in this case, yes, cast the doubt away and base your salah on certainty, which is 3 rak'ahs, not 4. Right? Okay. But if it is 80-20, like we said before, that is not like the other shak. That is here probability and possibility. Probability and possibility. In this case, then you use Hadith Abdullah ibn Mas'ud. فَلْيَتَحَرَّ الصَّوَابَ. Let him sort it out, figure it out, verify. يَتَحَرَّ الصَّوَابَ. So that is one way. Does that treat your obsessions? Yes. Because most of the time you will, have one side that is, a little bit stronger, a little bit more probable or likely. Okay. Now, the other way of reconciliation that is also an effective treatment of obsessions is the position of Abu Hanifa and Layth ibn Sa'd, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They said, one who's doing it for occasionally every once in a while, he forgets, he doubts the number of rakats that he prayed. He follows Hadith Abi Sa'id al-Khudri, and he bases his action on certainty. Certainty. One who is frequently having this happen to him, frequently having this happen to him, he uses Hadith Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, and he bases his action on probability. Probability, that which is probable. 80% I prayed 4 rak'ahs. Then I'll consider myself to have prayed 4 rak'ahs. Otherwise, if I would always consider myself to have prayed 3 rak'ahs, then it could be perpetual. Shaitan can come back to you, can say, some people are like this, by the way. If you have seen some of them, they're just difficult, and you really feel bad for them. Righteous people, but you feel bad for them. But again, the treatment has been supplied by the Prophet ﷺ in a very, very effective vehicle. The hadiths that are very clear, that are very straightforward about, and most of those issues, by the way, most of those issues have to see. But it's not only here. Yes, most of it is in wudu and salah. But it is not only in wudu and salah. It is not only in wudu and salah. If you go to fasting, for instance, you have many examples. If you go even to family laws, you have examples. You see the man who came to the Prophet ﷺ and said to him, my wife gave birth to this child who does not look anything like me or her. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, do you have camels? And he said, yes. And he said to him, what are they like? And he said, this color. And he said, هل فيها ورقة? Does it have any turbid, unclear colored ones? He said, هل فيها من أورق? قال إن فيها لورقة. Many are darker camels. So he said to him, where did they come from? Those, baby camels that you have now. So your herd had camels. And you see, the Prophet ﷺ would not talk to them about elephants. He talks, to people from the very environment that they lived in. So he tells them, those camels that you have, they were all one color, and then their babies were different colors. Where did that come from to them? And then the man said, maybe he took it from higher up in the ancestry. Higher up in the ancestry. So the Prophet ﷺ said to him, and maybe your son took it from higher up in the ancestry. After all, كلكم من آدم وآدم من تراب. You're all from Adam and Adam is from soil. So higher up in the ancestry, everybody would merge. So how do you know that, higher up in the ancestry, why is it that you have this explanation for the camels, but you're not having the explanation for the child? And this is also a treatment of obsessions. Effective medicine for obsessiveness. Because when you obsess about something of that nature, that actually could be of most detrimental kinds of obsessions that one could have when someone doubts the very paternity of their own child. And that is, devastating. So the Prophet ﷺ tells them, puts his heart at ease. Who knows? Yes, from the genetic pool. Never, however, he took it from higher up in the ancestry. It means that mixed genetic pool, yes, he could have had it from somewhere in that mixed genetic pool higher up. So don't worry about it. If you have a child that doesn't look like you, that's absolutely fine. So that's treatment of obsessiveness. So I think that, we should stop because we're going to have to, the brothers are coming.